and we'll see you next week. Well, hello, friends. Welcome. It's Michael Butler with Beyond Publishing, and we are here live. We're having a great time, and we are streaming. So we're so glad you're here tonight, and we're so glad that we're going to go ahead and end this room. Boom. We've been on Clubhouse, and we've been having a blast. So welcome back, friends. We are live, and we're glad you're here. It's a Monday night, and we just wanted to say, hey, we wanted to reach out, and we just came off a Clubhouse, a great Clubhouse where we had people from literally all over the world. Clubhouse is a social media platform. It's grown. It continues to grow. It continues to prosper during the pandemic, and it's a place for authors and speakers and experts to network, and just it's a great group of people, JV partners, venture capitalists, and people that are just doing great things around the world. And if you're an author or speaker, you're in the right place. And in fact, I know some of you are going to want to join me live that just came out of the Clubhouse, so I'm going to invite you. And I'm actually going to share bravely and boldly the StreamYard link because we're live in the group. And so, boom, boom. Really excited about that. Really excited. In fact, mark that as an announcement. You know, it's a beautiful thing when you have technology because technology will take you places that others can't. And so we're live right here, and we're saying, if you've got a book in you, now's the time. The world needs to hear your voice. And I think one of the biggest things that people struggle with is finding the power of their voice. You know, I've got my microphone here, and we just moved into a new office, so I don't have it hooked up properly. But I trust you can hear me well. And if you're watching, leave a comment. I have left the invite link in the chat. So if you're one of our authors and you're inclined to speak and tell us what project you're working on, I know we've got a number of books that are launching. In fact, throughout the pandemic, we launched books. We've got a number of, I'm looking up here on the board, dozens of books launching over the next 60 days. Authors from South Africa, from the US. There's Dr. Rudy from Fort Worth. There's Gloria's book, just from Florida, Alyssa Merritt. We've got exciting things happen. I've got a new book here. I'm going to show you a couple new books, in fact. And well, there's Baja, California. That must be Carrie. I'm guessing that's Carrie Lowe down there in Baja. I'm going to come see you in Loreto, in Cabo San Lucas here in a couple weeks. We're actually launching your book in Mexico a couple of weeks from now. So go ahead and tell us what the book is about, Carrie. We can't wait. In fact, we were just talking about Tom Ziglar. We were just talking about all of our Ziglar certified friends and partners, and so excited about launching all of you there. So friends, in the chat, depending on which group you're in, I'm going to put the chat link here. So if you want to weigh in and be in on the chat and join me in the studio, there is the StreamYard link everywhere. We're broadcasting on Facebook, on YouTube, and in the various fan pages. So go ahead and jump in. I want to talk to you about how do you stay creative? How do you be an effective storyteller as a speaker, as an author? How do you prevent yourself from getting stuck? It's so easy to get stuck when you're writing a book. And I think one of the biggest things that we need to learn when writing a book is understand what is our personal writing style. And, you know, for me, I'm not one of these guys that can write for 15 hours at a time. I might like to pretend that I can, but I tell you, I ran a marathon a few years ago, and that's 5 hours, and you're done. You're ready to go to an ER. You're ready to call 911 at that point. And so with me on the writing, it wasn't like I was going to write 5 hours. Listen, I write 15 minutes at a time. But I do it consistently, and I do it every day. I do it every morning. That's my time. My creative time is I get up early, have my quiet time, clear my head, do my reading, do my meditation, go for my walk/run, and then I grab not a pen, but I sit down at the computer. Now I've got friends that still longhand, in a legal pad, and that's really good for the brain. Occasionally I will do that, but then I've got to go in and transcribe it for the computer, right? But there's something powerful about writing the words and doing it at the same time every day. There's been a lot of brain science around the fact that you can increase the writing muscle just like you increase the any muscle that you're working out in the gym. If you give it attention, if you think about it, doesn't matter if you're fiction or nonfiction, you literally can improve and should improve every day. Last January, I heard John Maxwell speak in Florida to a group of 35,000 entrepreneurs, and he said for 40 years, he has written every single day of his life. And he has written on Christmas and New Year's and his birthday, and every single day. If he's sick, if he's traveling, he writes, and he's written 84 books. And how many New York Times bestsellers? Well, I'm not that prolific yet, but I am writing every day. And there's something very valuable about that. When you find a niche and you write, what is your niche? Are you writing fiction? Are you writing nonfiction? What is your passion? Why do you write? Are you writing for credibility? Are you writing to sell books? Maybe you're looking to get rich. And I'll just say that getting rich by writing books is like making it into the NFL. Very few people make it into the NFL. And it's like getting into the NFL in the 70s and 80s. You look at quarterbacks like Fran Tarkington and Jim Ray Guy and Jim Plunkett and all those guys. They made $100,000 a year. They didn't make the millions and millions that the Patrick Mahomes and the Tom Brady's are making now. They didn't get all the sponsorship and endorsement deals that they're making now. But the wise author will write the book and then build a business around the book. Write the book and build a coaching program around the book. Write the book and build the mastermind around the book. That's what a wise author will do. And that's what we encourage our authors to do. We encourage our authors to write a book where you're building a coaching program around that book and you're making a difference with that book. Okay? And so I want to ask you a question tonight. What are you writing? What are you working on? I would love to know what you're writing. I would love to know what you're working on. I would love for you to put it in the chat here. Tell me if you're writing fiction or nonfiction. Now, I've got to tell you that statistically, readership is up globally since the pandemic. It's true. Netflix are up and book flicks are up. Okay. And somebody said that book flicks or that Netflix is like broke flicks, because if you're binging on television during the pandemic, you're not growing your brain, you're not growing your brand. And if you're an author and a speaker and an expert and you're really wanting to make a difference in people's lives, you're going to be writing books. You're going to be writing books and not watching movies and streaming shows on Netflix, right? Oh, I'm excited about this, guys. I tell you, I'm super, super duper excited about this. In fact, I'm going to be loading some photos here in a minute. And so what is your writing style? What is your reason for writing? Are you writing to establish credibility? Are you writing to get more speaking gigs? are you writing to get more coaching clients? You know, if you're charging $5,000 or $20,000 for coaching clients for coaching, you'll give the book away for free, right? And so if you're speaking and you're selling books at the back of the room for $20 a pop, you're making money on those books. So we got nonfiction, self-help. I will say that nonfiction, that's 40%, 30 to 40% of the world's book sales is nonfiction. Okay. 60 to 70% of the world's book sales are fiction. And the number one genre is romance. Women are reading 80 to 90% of the books. 80 to 90% of the books are read by women. And Claude says, I'm wrapping up a new book, Death of Joe Pepper, but he is alive. Yeah, I'm excited about that book, Claude. I'm very excited about that book. I know you've told me a little bit about it. I'm very excited. Well, I will say this about memoirs. Memoirs are the slowest moving category of nonfiction. So if you're writing nonfiction, you've got this 30 to 40% opportunity globally, okay? And memoirs and poetry are the slowest moving category of nonfiction. So if you're writing memoirs, be aware. Here's what I say about memoirs. Memoirs, a lot of people don't have the bandwidth to read that. If it's a tragedy story, even if it's tragedy to triumph that's movie worthy, people just don't have the bandwidth. Now, you can still tell your story and embed your story in if you could embed it into a how-to book, then you've increased the chances of you writing a bestseller, because how-to books are what people are typing into Google. How to improve my finances, how to have better relationships, raising children, how to retire early, how to improve my credit score. Those are all very, very search specific for Google. And in fact, Donna Campbell says, nonfiction, this first book financially fit. Now that's a great title. Why is it a great title? It shows me if my finances aren't fit, it shows me exactly what you're doing for me in this book, Donna. It's saying, boom, financially fit. In fact, Donna, I would love for you to jump on the link I share, the StreamYard link. Jump into the studio here. I would love to interview you on financially fit. And you say it's about creating wealth from the hidden subconscious mind. Yes, yes, yes. And then you've got a book on relationships. So it's exactly what I'm talking about is money, relationships, happiness. That's what people are looking for. So if you write a book that people are looking for, and preferably a book that not everybody has already got in their library, then you've got me, okay? A few years ago, we published a book on endometriosis called Alone in the Crowd, Living Well with Endometriosis. And the author had survived Chernobyl. And in fact, it was a book about living well naturally without going the allopathic surgical route, but actually doing it with wellness. Awesome, awesome. So it all makes a difference. So I'm going to give you a couple freebies, okay, guys? I'm going to give you oh, that's Christine Grant right there, right? Awesome. Relationship. Get that book. That's a great book. So I'm going to give you a free copy of Bestseller Status. Grab it at bestsellerstatus.com. And I'm going to put that into the chat. So Relationship is an awesome book. It's very specific, very niche specific, and it's a very great book on love letters to heal any sort of relational challenge. I love it. It's kind of like a textbook. It's like a practical pick of the day that you need to write letters to specific people in your life. Very well done, Christine. So I'm going to give away free copies of my book at bestsellerstatus.com. And what you get there is you get the 80-page book that's helped thousands of people write a bestseller at bestsellerstatus.com. Now, I got to say that was one of the funnest books to write. Now, I will tell you on this book, I wrote it one day, and the next day my computer crashed. 88 pages that were in my head were gone. I didn't have it backed up anywhere. So the point is definitely. Okay, I'm going to share it again for you here. All right, so you'll have it. It's going to be Donna, I'm going to put it right there into the chat. So see that link I just put? Then you can click on that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So always have your books backed up. Now I'm going to show you, fast forward, the newest book that's coming out on Valentine's Day. It's called It's Complicated. And when finding love was a matter of letting go. I'm taking my first stab at fiction here, and it's about love. So this book, you can pre-buy it now on Amazon. It's called It's Complicated, and there's actually a status, as you know, on Facebook called It's Complicated. And if you love this, there's a story behind this book cover, beautifully done right there, and it's complicated. Now I'm all about it's a story about Lindsay Long going through a breakup, a divorce, and in the age of internet, swipe right, swipe left, she looks for love and wonders, has she found it, her happily ever after. So here's a practical book called The Speaker's Edge. I actually released this 58-page volume. Now the new volume, this one is an advanced reader copy. I actually released it at Daniel Gomez's Sticker Shock. Will be about 120 pages. It's everything you need to know from A to Z on how to turn your part-time passion into your full-time speaking career, speaking from stage on The Speaker's Edge. Practical books do sell more, but since women are reading more books than men, if you've got a book for men, now my first book was Single Dad Survival Guide. This book does really well around Father's Day. I guess, I don't know, dads are getting divorced around Father's Day. Is that how that works? But I think women are buying it as a gift for the men in their life. It's a resource for single dads, and that one always does really well around Christmas and Father's Day. But if you're writing a book and you can write it for women, boom, you've hit 80 to 90% of the global market. So for example, since we're talking about divorce, this is a very practical book called The Custody Lawyer. Janet McCullough in Austin, Texas. We wrote this book. We published this book, and her book is helping people navigate the choppy waters. A very practical how-to book. Women are buying this book that are going through divorces, and it's done very well, and it's opened doors for her to speak. So she's speaking everywhere around this topic, because when you Google Custody Lawyer, this book, you find this book. Well, I'm really excited about our next guest. And in fact, if you know anybody that has struggled with finances or wondered if they had enough funds to retire, our next guest is for you. So I want you to reach out. I want you to ping somebody that maybe you've got a college student that's got college debt, or maybe you've got somebody that's recently gone through a bankruptcy, or maybe you've got a friend that's been hurting because of the pandemic. This next guest will really touch your heart. She's put together a great book about living the secrets to an abundant, prosperous life. And in her new book, Financially Fit, she's launching it on February 1. And she says, this is the reason why award-winning presenter and speaker Donna Campbell is called the Mind Whisperer. That's because when people work with Donna, their lives change. Now, she's a former financial advisor. She's here with us tonight. And I want to say, Donna, welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
And welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's so great to see you. It's so great to see you. And congratulations on the book. Yes. And Financially Fit. Now, people can pre-buy it right now on Amazon. And tell us a little bit about what's in the book and who is it for?
It is for the person that realizes, kind of like I did, that you can follow all of the information that the financial gurus tell you about eliminating debt, where to invest, how much insurance do you need, and then recognize that maybe that process didn't work for you. And what happened for me, I was a financial advisor. I was a managing principal for an investment firm. And what took place was during that career, those 10 years, I exchanged my health for the job. And then doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And then when I realized what was happening, I was holding on this emotional baggage of anger from my marriage. So that dissolved. And then I realized all the things that had in common were me. So I started studying, understanding science, physics, brainwave
You took
patterns,
ownership. A lot of
meditation.
people are assigning blame, and you actually took
I took
ownership.
ownership because
Talk to me
I was
about,
involved.
was that the thing that helped catapult you into freedom, or what? Tell me more about that.
It was because what I was able to do was understand the mechanics of what was going on in my own mind, why things were being created, why was I holding on to the anger, why did I have anger to even begin with, and what was
Mhm.
I absorbing in my own environment. And when I started uncovering the patterns, what I saw was that there's this whole subconscious component that we're not aware of. We're consciously aware of our thoughts. That's only about 10% of the time. We, on average, have 6,000 thoughts a day. So there's a huge amount of thoughts we have that we don't even know that we're having. And then what are those thoughts doing? And if we're not aware of them, what's the energy that's leaving our body? So as I learned all of this, I went back to natural healing and utilizing my own healing abilities and started putting it together. And for the last 2 years, I have seen direct correlations to how we interact with money on a spiritual level with who we are as an energy being, meaning that how I feel about myself is how I feel about money, and how I feel about money is how I feel about myself. Because that universe is only reading the energy vibration or the signals of how we are feeling and returning that. It doesn't know if you're talking about your health, your wealth, your finances, or you. It doesn't make that discernment. So when I was in private practice, I'm an international private practice with clients. They were saying things like, I want to feel worthy. I want to know that I'm appreciated, that I'm valued, that I feel safe and secure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are the same words we use in the financial services world. Is this a safe and secure investment? What is my portfolio value? How much did my assets appreciate? And oh, by the way, what's my portfolio net worth? And the
Oh, that's
universe
huge.
doesn't know.
That's huge. You're dealing with not just the symptom,
Right.
you're actually dealing with the core problem.
Absolutely, to the
Yep.
root of the problem, and it's aligning it in the brain to affect you financially. So I share parts of that process in the book.
So you're speaking everywhere, and you're speaking online. What's the best way for people to find you and follow you and reach out to you and get an appointment with you?
The easiest way to get an appointment with me is through my website, donnacampbell.com. And if you want to reach out, ask a question, see what things are about, it's all over social media under Donna Campbell. Type that in, I'll come up, pick a social media platform.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I want to ask you this because we're talking to authors, and we just got off
Mhm.
a 1 hour clubhouse, and now we're here on Facebook. What was the hardest part for you about actually finishing the book and actually putting the words that you
Mhm.
share with clients and things, putting it on paper and organizing? What was the hardest part about completing the book?
Well, words have an energy, a vibration, and a frequency. So they're very important to how you utilize the words. And for me, I write a lot with how I speak. And so I had it in my format, but revising it through content editing to make sure all of the ideas were expressed in a coherent manner that everybody else could follow as well.
What advice would you give to an author that's maybe starting out where you were? What advice
Mhm,
would you give yourself looking back a year ago that
mhm.
you would have done differently in writing the
Um, just keep going, keep doing it. Don't take a break. Just
book?
for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, sit down and write and put it down on paper. I spoke my process. I had my daughter transcribe it, and then I went through it. And then I started putting together the chapters of the book. And it helped me focus the energy. So I knew what I was writing about, and I knew what I wanted to share. And it was just expressing it from that inside out to share with people.
Now, your daughter had a great insight too that you shared on Clubhouse. What was that tonight?
She was 16 at the time, and I was just having her transcribe my 30-minute live Facebook videos because I wanted to see the content that was out there. How could I use this information?
Uh,
And she comes to me, she was like on chapter 4, and she's like, Mom, this is a really good book. People need to know this. And oh, by the way, write a program. And I'm like, okay, no pressure there. Let's do it.
Kids are great. That's just fabulous. Every time I hang out with my kids, I get great ideas like that. And oh my goodness. So what is the plan? I know that the ebook's available right
Mhm,
now at a special price on Amazon, so you can go bestseller. You've got the press release going out this week, and
mhm.
where are you located? Are you going to be doing book signings and that kind of thing? Or are you going to wait till COVID's over, or what's the plan?
If there's a book signing opportunity, sign me up. I'm happy to travel.
Awesome, awesome.
I've been doing podcasts. I've been doing Facebook Lives. I have some amazing people I've connected with that are going to do some more work like that with me, putting together content for Roku and some other options out there like that.
Well, I've been really proud of you on the journey, and I know Jill Lublin connected us, right? She's just
Yes.
awesome, and you didn't need our class, Write Book 60 Days, but since the pandemic, we've had a number of people go through this course, and it's helped them complete their book and help
Mhm.
them identify who their avatar is. Who would you say your target market is for the book?
You know,
Financially fit.
a lot of people are purpose-driven business owners because they're wanting to make that change. They're wanting to level up. They want to do it a little bit different. And they're understanding and realizing that money is a form of energy. And they're having and going through this awakening process.
And how has writing the book changed you, Donna? Because I'm sure from concept to completion, it's got to feel pretty good, I would imagine, to complete that book, right?
It does. I knew from me before I had it finished that it was a milestone and something that I needed to complete for me, and that it was a divine timing moment or a launching pad to all the other things that I was going to be doing. So it was a very big turning point for me. I feel like I've already completed it. I read it like 20 times this month already, and I'm on to
Isn't
the
that
next.
true as an author? By the time
Mhm.
your book goes to editing, you're sick of it, and now everybody is putting a microphone in your face
Yeah.
and wanting to talk to you about Financially Fit, and you're like, I've moved on to my next book, right?
Exactly, exactly. I'm now receiving that information and I'm shown it's about relationships and the things we go through, the loneliness, the depression, the
Mhm.
anxiety, the disappointment, what to do, the same process, different area, and one more after that for health. So 3 books in 3 years, Michael.
Well, that's
You know,
really great. Was it a cathartic, therapeutic experience for you? If so, in what way?
it really started bringing together who I was in the past as that financial advisor and accepting all of that with who I am as an energy healer.
Uh-huh.
And it really started bridging the gap between the two instead of myself feeling fragmented. Okay, I had this career, then I did this career. Now it's like, no, it's the essence of who I am and it's my authentic self. And this is who I get to present myself to the world to.
Well, and I think that's beautiful. And so people can go to donnacampbell.com. They can find you. They can follow you. They can pre-buy the book on Amazon for $1 now. You're going bestseller. And then when is the hardcover? Well, I'm your publisher, so I can answer this. The hardcover will be out immediately following the ebook. First, the hardcover, case laminate, and then the paperback in the following week. So we're getting some great feedback here. Everybody is saying congratulations. Everybody is loving it. Now, Financially Fit, you could have written about romance, or you could have written about, I think your next book is about relationships, right?
Mhm. It is. It is. We touch on the subject in Financially Fit. I will tell you that. There is a whole chapter about how money relates to power, control, and sex, but that's really a precursor for some things that are coming later and who we are in the context of a relationship for the next book that I'm going to be putting together this year to launch next year at this time.
Well, we're excited to be launching that book as well. And you know what? I read recently that the number one reason for divorce, tell me if I'm wrong on this, and I wrote the book not on divorce, but on what single dads can do that have gone through a divorce. And one
Mhm.
chapter is on money. How big a role does money play in relationship breakups?
It's a pretty large role when you look at it from the context of money because, it's together. But if I blame you, you're at fault. So I should keep all the assets, or your job's not good enough. You need to earn more. And then the other spouse gets involved trying to do it for them. So all of those aspects play a part in it. I touch a little bit on that in Financially Fit. And it really is an intimate topic. And because it's so much tied to who we are with control, with power, it really is a defining moment with money in that too.
Do you talk about the pandemic and how people need to pivot to allocate different resources, or do you address the pandemic, or do you make the book evergreen?
The book was evergreen.
Okay, awesome. But I'm sure there's principles in the book. What are some of the core takeaways in the book for financial independence and financial health?
One of the best strategies that I can share with you is what was taught to me from a medicine woman, and it was called pivot and shift. She taught it to me in the concept of, if you're in a physical room and you don't like the energy, if you got up and moved, or if you went and got a glass of water or redirected and refocused the energy, it would change the energy of the whole room. And I started applying it to the emotional level. So if you are in a particular energy and you recognize it, say frustration, you can instantly in that moment pivot and shift it to the opposite emotion or feeling and make that energetic change. So if you are in anger and recognize it, you can shift it to a form of happiness or peace or calmness in that moment by looking at the context and the perception of the environment and the situation at the same time. And so I share that strategy throughout the book and how to do it in all the different ways.
Well, I think that's very empowering, and I think that's one of the first steps, as we teach children about money and as we grow our wealth as we get older. I think that's so huge. Don, I want to thank you for popping in on what is typically the author spotlight. We decided tonight to do a hangout with some of our Clubhouse authors. What would you say about Clubhouse? For those that don't know, it is a new platform. Mm-hmm. I compare it to Twitter. It's like Twitter for entrepreneurs. There's a lot of high-end people that are deeply networked and influencers that are in the author, speaker, expert, and business startup space. Mm-hmm. What's your take on Clubhouse?
I think it can be a little addicting because you can get on, you can listen, you can have your AirPods in, you could be moving around, you can be in conversation. People have asked me about it, and I'm like, it's kind of like audio meetup, but you're connecting with people around topics all around the world. And being newer to Clubhouse, it's been maybe just a couple of weeks that I've been there. I've been jumping in and listening to different things, but get your feet wet after tonight. It's like, I think I'm just going to get on one thing a day and just keep sharing and keep talking and keep networking, because it's an amazing platform. It really is.
Well, we like to say when you launch a book, it's so important to have a community. And speaking of community, we're getting a question from Facebook here. Do you gear your content in Financially Fit, Donna, more toward men or women, more toward both?
It's both. It's equal. And I talk about the masculine brain and the feminine brain, and it's irregardless of gender. So it's really for both.
Are women better savers than men?
No. And men are not better savers than women. It has to do with how you're.
I'm intrigued. Get the book for a buck while you can. And okay, great. So I know you're speaking. How do people get a hold of you one more time?
DonnaCampbell.com, or if you want to go to a social media platform, it's under Donna Campbell as well. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you can find me.
Well, Donna, thanks for being with us, and have a great night, and congrats on the book.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, we're excited as well. That was Donna Campbell with Financially Fit. Donna reached out to us and when her book was done, but we have a lot of people that reach out to us that either they're too busy or they don't want to take the time to sit down and write the book. And what do? Well, they work with one of our ghostwriters. So if you're a busy CEO, entrepreneur, or executive, or professional athlete, or pastor, and you say, I need some help writing the book, we can certainly talk to you about that. And we ghost wrote about 45 books last year, and we'll ghost write about 200 this year. And so maybe yours will be on our list. So, but if you're stuck and ghostwriting is not an option, and you're saying, I want to write it myself, and right there, go sign up at writebook60days.com. In this course, We've helped 85 authors go through this course, and 85% of the authors that go through this course end up being about 90% done within that 8-week course. And we used to call it an 8-week course because we were doing it online and we had scheduled times once a week. But it's actually, we've gone into the TV studio in Dallas, and it's 1 hour per module. And we give you all the nuts and bolts you need of why write the book, who is your avatar, what is your purpose for writing the book, and really drilling down deep in who is the book for, how to create a page turner with title, subtitle, back cover copy, description, outlining the book with the chapter titles, and then how do you actually write a chapter. And the feedback we've been getting is great with authors that has taken 2 months to knock out a chapter are writing a chapter within 20 minutes by the time they get to module number 6. And by the time you get to module number 7 and 8, you're pretty much ready to launch the book. The cover design is done. We're pre-selling the book on Amazon and everywhere, and that's the way it works. The toughest book to write is the first book, but the more mature your writing muscles get, the more prolific you get, and it's like going to the gym. Just the thought of going to the gym excites you and causes an adrenaline rush because you know how good you feel, and it's the same way with writing. What book do you have on the inside of you, and what book is God wanting to get out to the world through you this year? There's no reason to put it off. I knew when I was 11 years old I was going to be an author and write books. I read a book by an 11-year-old boy, and I was inspired by him. I was inspired by his story, and the rest is history. The rest truly is history. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight. If you have a question about book writing, then jump on my calendar. They're on my website. If you want feedback on your book title, your book cover, the marketability and sellability of your book, jump on my calendar. We'll certainly talk. And I want to thank you for joining me. If you are an entrepreneur and you're on Clubhouse, then every Monday night at 7 Central, join us for Beyond the Book Launch, where we talk about storytelling. We talk about podcasting, speaking, getting on more stages to sell more books as an author. And we talk about principles and tips that work, from launching 350 authors in the last year to getting on more stages and making more of an impact. And that's really what it's about. It's about making an impact with your life, your stories. If you're writing for entertainment, that's great. If that's your only goal and your bucket list to publish your book and publish your memoirs, that's awesome. But maybe there's a bigger audience. Maybe there's somebody looking to be a better parent. Maybe they're a single parent. Maybe there's college students that are looking to transition and get hired and be an better interviewee and perfect their resume. Then you can write a how-to book that is specifically niched down to help a very specific niche demographic. And that's what we go into in the course. And the new course is starting soon, so you can sign up for it. I'm going to offer it free for one last time. It'll be free before we start charging again for that course like we did before the pandemic. How do we get on the Monday night platform? If you will private message me, Michael Butler, on Facebook, then I can send you an invite. So the Clubhouse online networking is a new platform. Clubhouse is a platform that it's like she said, it's audio meetup, and you're in rooms and you're talking with people. That's very much based on the topic you choose. We host a Monday night group with authors and speakers around the topics of podcasting, writing books, speaking on more stages, and that kind of thing. So if you're wanting an invitation to Clubhouse, just private message me on my personal Facebook at Michael D. Butler, and we'll be happy to send you an invite and share with you how you can get on there. Thanks for asking. And let me know if you want to get on my calendar. It's meetmichaeld.com. And I'll put that up for 1 second. That's meetmichaeld.com, and we'll talk about your book. And see if you got a viable book idea, maybe give you some feedback on it. Well, I believe the world needs to hear your story. Jump on my calendar. Let's have a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing, and God bless you, and best wishes on your writing. Go grab a copy of The Speaker's Edge right now. It's 58 pages, and that's the ebook. The print book is coming out in March. It'll be 120 pages, but give me your feedback on the ebook now. And if you leave a 5-star Amazon review after you read it, then I'll sign and mail you a free copy of the print. How about that? How about that? I'll motivate you to do that, and that'll be a blessing to me, and it'll help others see the book that otherwise would not. I look forward to meeting you in person soon. The other thing is, if you're an author, we do have a studio. It's called authorredcarpet.com here in Dallas, Texas, and you can join us in the studio every month, and we can interview you, hear about your book, and talk to you about the specifics there on being with us. In fact, Donna, you should fly out. I'll give you more information. That's in Dallas, Texas. And every month we have an author red carpet where we interview authors about your book. We create the book sizzle reel, the book trailer, and you get a professional interview with lower thirds in the studio overlooking the Lyndon B. Johnson Freeway in near downtown Dallas at the Galleria in our studio. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Donna, for a great impromptu interview. I love how you're so willing to share your expertise and your awesomeness, your financially fit story with the world. And that is going to help so many people. When is your best time to write? My best time to write is in the morning. Although I'm kind of motivated right now. I might go write right now. There's no Monday Night Football on. Have a good night, friends. Let me know what you're writing, and let's talk soon. Keep writing. I'll keep reading. Thanks for